Good morning, dear afternoon, everyone. I'm delighted to be with you today at a moment of profound change. We stand at a threshold. The world of work as we once knew it is undergoing a reset. Not a gentle correction, but a systemic reinvention. And I believe this is one of the greatest investment opportunities, not just financially, but personally and professionally, that many of us will ever see. The world has always been anchored on belief in systems, institutions, and currencies that promise stability. But when belief turns into blind reliance, fragility follows. For decades, the global economy has revolved around a single dominant currency, and that dependency has shaped trade, capital flows, and even national policies. Yet today, we stand at the edge of a fundamental reset, not just economic but philosophical. The idea that one currency can carry the weight of global value is being challenged by technology, innovation, and a rising awareness that diversification is not a luxury, but a necessity. History shows that dominance rarely lasts forever. Empires rose and fell on the strength of their money, from the Roman denarius to the British pound. Each time the world assumed permanence until disruption proved otherwise. What's happening now is not different in spirit, but far more accelerated in scale. Digital assets, blockchain systems, and algorithmic networks are rewriting the very concept of trust. When trust migrates from institutions to mathematics, from intermediaries to code, the idea of one global currency begins to lose its grip. The shift isn't just financial, it's structural. We are watching nations, corporations, and individuals question the old anchors of value. Inflation, debt, and policy manipulation have revealed the vulnerabilities of systems once considered unshakable. It's no longer enough to store value in one place or price everything in one unit of account. The digital age demands agility in thinking, in holding, in investing. The winners of this next era will be those who understand that money itself is becoming decentralized, programmable, and plural. This evolution is not about abandoning trust, it's about expanding it. When technology enables verifiable transparency, when value can move across borders at the speed of light, and when new forms of digital property emerge, the logic of relying on one currency simply collapses. Think of it this way: the same way we don't rely on one source of energy or one mode of communication anymore, why should the entire world depend on one financial language? A healthy economy, like a healthy ecosystem, thrives on diversity. We are also seeing the geopolitical implications unfold in real time. Countries are seeking alternatives to mitigate exposure to global shocks. Central banks are exploring digital currencies. Corporations are holding a mix of traditional and digital assets on their balance sheets. The reset is already underway, quietly but unmistakably. What seems like an experimental frontier today may soon become the foundation of tomorrow's economy. And yet, amid all this transformation, fear remains the greatest obstacle. Many hesitate to adapt, preferring the familiarity of the old system. But innovation rarely waits for comfort. The moment to prepare for change is not after it's happened, but while it's happening. Those who wait for certainty will miss the asymmetry of opportunity that early adoption provides. The great irony is that what once felt like the safest choice, relying on one currency, may now be the riskiest of all. In a multi-currency world, resilience comes from flexibility. Value will increasingly be expressed across networks, not just nations. Ownership will transcend geography. Wealth will be created not by storing but by participating in systems that reward transparency, speed, and creativity. The new economy is not about exclusion but inclusion. It's about giving billions access to opportunities that were once gated by borders and intermediaries. We must remember that every great transformation begins with doubt, then disbelief, and finally acceptance. What's emerging now is not chaos but choice. The freedom to diversify is the freedom to protect and grow. The discipline to move beyond one currency is not speculation, it's foresight. Just as the internet democratized information, this monetary evolution is democratizing value itself. So as we look ahead, the question isn't whether the world will rely on one currency again. It's whether we'll have the courage to embrace a system that reflects how dynamic, decentralized, and innovative humanity has become. The future will not be denominated in a single unit. It will be measured in adaptability, trust, and innovation. The age of reliance is over. The age of resilience has begun. We are living in an age of extraordinary abundance. Abundant data, abundant liquidity, abundant promises of digital wealth. Yet beneath the surface of that abundance lies fragility. Paper gains vanish overnight, markets swing on sentiment, and value often feels more virtual than real. In times like these, clarity returns to something timeless, the importance of owning real things, assets grounded in production, innovation, and tangible impact. Not the illusion of value, but the foundation of it. Throughout history, every technological and financial revolution has carried the same paradox: it creates immense new wealth, yet also a new layer of speculation. When the internet emerged, countless companies claimed to reinvent the world. Only a few truly built it. When digital currencies appeared, millions rushed to trade them, but far fewer understood the infrastructure behind them. The lesson is consistent. When speculation detaches from substance, cycles end the same way: correction, consolidation, and renewal. And in that renewal, real ownership reasserts its power. To own real things is not just to hold property, metals, or commodities. It's to own productive capacity, technologies that build, networks that grow, and intellectual property that transforms industries. It's to invest in innovation that solves real problems. It's to support companies creating energy, health, intelligence, and security for the world ahead. These are not abstract tokens or fleeting trades, they are the engines of progress. What we're witnessing now is a quiet but profound shift from speculation towards substance. Markets may still be volatile, but the underlying trajectory is clear. The next decade will belong to those who build, not those who chase. Whether it's in clean energy, robotics, AI infrastructure, or biotech, real value comes from assets that generate output, not just opinions. Ownership of these foundations is what protects and multiplies wealth through every cycle. Inflation, volatility, and monetary expansion have all reminded us that not all wealth is equal. When money loses purchasing power, the question becomes what holds value when the system shakes. The answer has always been the same: own what produces, what endures, what cannot be printed or replicated with a few lines of code. Real assets outlast uncertainty because they anchor themselves in demand, in scarcity, in use. They represent human progress made tangible. But there's another layer to this principle, one that's deeply personal. Owning real things is not only about financial strategy, it's about conviction. It means understanding what you believe in, where you see the world heading, and aligning your capital with that vision. It's easy to follow momentum, to chase what's popular, to trade what's trending. It's much harder, and far more rewarding, to hold what the world will need 10 years from now, even when it's out of favor today. The next wave of opportunity will not come from speculation in symbols, but from ownership of systems. Think of the breakthroughs that will define the next era: autonomous mobility, precision medicine, renewable energy storage, space infrastructure, AI-driven productivity. These are real, built on science, engineering, and exponential learning curves. When you own the building blocks of these transformations, you own part of the future itself. This isn't a rejection of innovation. It's an embrace of its truest form. Real ownership doesn't mean retreating to the past. It means standing on the firm ground of creation. The tools of modern finance can amplify returns, but they must rest on something tangible. The more digitized our world becomes, the more valuable true assets become: the factories that build chips, the grids that power cities, the algorithms that drive automation, the companies turning raw knowledge into usable reality. Every cycle teaches the same truth in new language: the path to sustainable wealth is paved with ownership of real, productive things. Markets can fluctuate, currencies can devalue, speculation can fade, but real assets endure. They don't vanish when narratives change. They compound quietly while noise fades. So the next time the market celebrates the abstract, look for the concrete. When the crowd chases paper, seek the foundation. When everyone trades stories, hold something that produces results. That's not conservatism, that's foresight. Owning real things is not about resisting change, it's about anchoring within it. The future will belong to those who combine innovation with substance, imagination with ownership, and vision with discipline. In the age of uncertainty, real assets are not just protection, they're participation in the very progress shaping tomorrow. And that, ultimately, is the most valuable thing any of us can truly own. The most powerful form of protection in any era of disruption is not retreat, it's diversification. The world is changing faster than any model can predict. Technologies converge, policies shift, currencies fluctuate, and markets reprice entire sectors overnight. In a landscape defined by exponential change, concentration becomes vulnerability. The old idea of stability through singular conviction is being replaced by a more dynamic truth. Resilience is built through diversification, across assets, sectors, and even ideas. For years, the narrative of focus dominated. Put all your energy behind one vision, one asset, one trade. But as innovation accelerates, the definition of focus must evolve. True focus today means broad awareness, understanding that risk no longer lives in isolation. It moves through systems, supply chains, networks, and algorithms. When one domino falls, the rest can follow. Diversification is not dilution, it's defense against systemic fragility. Think of innovation itself. The greatest breakthroughs rarely come from one field alone. They emerge where disciplines collide, where biology meets computing, where energy meets AI, where finance meets data science. The same is true for investing and strategy. The power of diversification lies in harnessing convergence, holding exposure to different forces that move in different cycles. While one sector corrects, another compounds. While one geography contracts, another expands. While one asset class declines, another gains resilience. It's not about spreading risk randomly, it's about constructing a portfolio of change. We are entering a world where shocks will come more often and from unexpected places. A sudden shift in monetary policy can ripple through equities, bonds, and crypto simultaneously. A geopolitical event can freeze supply chains or accelerate entire industries overnight. In such an environment, protection can't rely on prediction. It must rely on preparation. Diversification is preparation made tangible. A strategy that says, I can't know every outcome, but I can design for survival in all of them. Some mistake diversification for passivity, but it's the opposite. It's active resilience. It means continuously evaluating what's changing and ensuring you're exposed not only to the present but to the possible. It's about owning assets that move to different rhythms, driven by different technologies and timelines. In the short term, that might mean volatility. In the long term, it means endurance. Consider the lesson history teaches over and over. Every period of extraordinary growth has been followed by unexpected dislocation. The dot-com boom gave way to the digital age we live in now, but only those who held across sectors survived the crash. The housing crisis destroyed over-leveraged portfolios, but diversified holders of innovation and tangible assets recovered first. Even in recent years, investors concentrated in a single theme or geography have seen their confidence tested. Yet those with exposure across innovation, commodities, and alternative assets have found protection not from luck, but from design. Diversification extends beyond finance. It's a mindset. In work, it means developing skills across domains, blending technical understanding with creative problem solving. In business, it means building models that adapt to new technologies and consumer behaviors. In policy, it means avoiding over-dependence on one source of energy, trade, or currency. The same law applies everywhere. Concentration magnifies shocks, diversification absorbs them. This isn't about fear, it's about positioning. The world doesn't reward those who hide from volatility, it rewards those who learn to live within it. Diversification is how you stay in the game long enough to benefit from compounding. It gives you the space to think, to breathe, to pivot when others are forced to sell. It transforms uncertainty from threat to opportunity. At its core, diversification is an act of humility. It acknowledges that no one can predict the future with precision. Not analysts, not algorithms, not even the markets themselves. It's a recognition that the world is too complex, too connected, and too fast to rely on any single bet. But humility, when paired with conviction, becomes wisdom. And wisdom compounds just like capital does. The coming decade will test every assumption about safety, growth, and value. Artificial intelligence will reshape industries, climate transitions will redefine energy markets, and digital assets will challenge traditional finance. In such a world, protection will not come from standing still, but from staying balanced across transformation. The resilient will not be those who avoid risk, but those who spread it intelligently. So as the noise grows louder and the cycles turn faster, remember protection isn't about holding back. It's about holding broad. When you diversify across innovation and infrastructure, across the tangible and the technological, you don't just protect what you have, you give it room to evolve. The future doesn't belong to those who cling to one idea. It belongs to those prepared for many. Diversification isn't just safety. It's the strategy of survival in a world that never stops changing. Every great transformation begins quietly, a subtle shift in data, a change in tone, a small divergence that most people overlook. But those who think in long-term cycles see it before the headlines do. They recognize that markets, economies, and technologies don't move in straight lines. They breathe, expand, contract, and evolve through time. The real opportunity lies not in reacting to every fluctuation, but in understanding the rhythm of these cycles, and positioning where the world is going, not where it's been. Short-term thinking has become the default mode of our era. Algorithms trade in microseconds. News shifts narratives by the hour. Investors chase quarterly results as if they define destiny. Yet progress doesn't unfold that way. Breakthroughs take time. Paradigm shifts don't happen on a schedule. The irony is that while technology accelerates, the fundamental nature of cycles remains unchanged. Innovation leads, disruption follows, markets adjust, and value emerges in new form. Those who think in decades, not days, capture the compounding effect that short-term minds miss. The most powerful forces shaping the future, artificial intelligence, genomics, robotics, renewable energy, are still in their early phases. These are not quarterly stories, they are generational. Each of them represents a multi-decade transformation of productivity, efficiency, and human potential. But like all long-term cycles, they will be misunderstood in their early stages. There will be volatility, skepticism, and moments of disbelief. That's exactly when long-term thinkers build conviction while others retreat to comfort. Cycles are not just economic, they're psychological. After every boom comes doubt, after every correction, opportunity. When confidence collapses, innovation doesn't stop, it accelerates quietly in the background. The future is always being built during downturns. The crowd sells fear, but long-term thinkers buy time. They understand that exponential progress rarely looks smooth on a linear chart. It moves in waves, frustrating, unpredictable, but ultimately unstoppable. To think in long-term cycles is to detach from noise and attach to truth. It's not about predicting exact dates or perfect timing. It's about recognizing where value is migrating. Industries evolve in patterns, from discovery to overhype, from disillusionment to adoption. The early internet followed that curve. So did mobile technology. So will AI, energy storage, and blockchain infrastructure. The short-term chaos often disguises long-term inevitability. What separates enduring success from fleeting luck is patience paired with conviction. Many claim to think long-term until volatility tests their resolve, but cycles are designed to do exactly that, to transfer wealth and opportunity from the impatient to the disciplined. When sentiment turns fearful, long-term capital becomes the stabilizing force. It sees the drawdown as an entry point, not an ending. It understands that progress compounds faster than perception catches up. The danger of ignoring long-term cycles is not just missing gains, it's misreading direction. Short-term indicators can deceive. A temporary downturn in a transformative sector can look like failure when it's actually foundation. The adoption of electricity, the rise of the automobile, the emergence of the internet, all were marked by periods of collapse before exponential ascent. Each time, those fixated on short-term pain missed the generational opportunity unfolding beneath it. The cycle we are in now, technological acceleration amid economic recalibration, will likely define the next several decades. We're witnessing the intersection of deflationary innovation and inflationary policy, of automation meeting human creativity, It's complex, noisy, and full of contradictions. But within it lies extraordinary potential for those willing to zoom out. Every productivity revolution in history has followed the same patterns: early resistance, rapid experimentation, mass adoption, and long-term transformation. We are somewhere between experimentation and adoption, the most volatile and therefore the most opportunistic phase. Thinking long-term also requires courage. It means staying invested when the world doubts, building when others wait, and trusting data over emotion. It means recognizing that compounding works not just in portfolios, but in ideas, relationships, and innovation. The returns to patience are exponential, but only visible to those willing to endure the interim chaos. Every investor, builder, or thinker faces a choice: chase the moment or shape the cycle. One is transactional, the other is transformational. The world's most important advances in energy, health, communication, and computation came from people and institutions who saw beyond a single season. They understood that the long term always rewards those who align with progress rather than resist it. So, look past the noise. Study history, because cycles repeat not in form, but in principle. What seems new is often just a faster version of what's been before. The long-term view is not optimism, it's realism, the recognition that despite volatility, innovation drives growth, and growth drives opportunity. The future belongs to those who see time differently, not as a countdown but as a compounder, not as an obstacle but as an ally. Because when you think in long-term cycles, you stop reacting to change and start positioning to lead it.